1988. It went from being a Superman comic to being an annual, thick-sized, weekly comic with Superman and Green Lantern and a bunch of, and Wild Dog, who's in Arrow now. My first editing was a Wild Dog, the Wild Dog feature. See how it all comes around? It's all because of me.
You heard it here, folks. Here is the source.
I created
of
the
the
Speed
Arrowverse.
Force, Wild Dog, and that connection.
What'd you do for Green Arrow?
I was co-editor of Green Arrow.
Well, there you go.
The Mike Rowe years. Who else was, Dan Jurgens through that for a while. So I mean, yeah, I was officially the assistant editor. So yes, it's all me. I think I'm hearing that. I've been saying it for years, but I can actually start to prove it.
Finally get those royalties.
No, there'll be no royalties. I'm like the guy who invented the crescent wrench for Sears. You know what he got? He got his paycheck in a retirement. He didn't get a dime from the billions made by the crescent wrench or the adjustable crescent. Anyway, it's just a tale of caution. Any other questions or comments, please?
Also about like other characters in the Flash, if you want to ask about them too. The show, I mean.
Okay.
Star Labs.
Yes. So what about Cisco and Caitlin Snow? What do you think about them in the show, and are they?
They're fun characters. They're vaguely drawn from.
Yeah. Cisco's he's Vibe. In the comics, they introduced a character in the 80s called Vibe, and he was basically...
He was Cisco Ramon, same name.
But he was a breakdancing superhero. That was his... Yes. Like they did a funny little animated short a few years back, which they did as a parody of that, but he was a breakdancer who used breakdancing to fight crime. It was the 80s.
I think he carried a boombox.
Yes. And Caitlin's interested because she actually started out as in the comics, she's Killer Frost. That's, you know...
A fairly major, and that will be coming up.
Yeah, and they're reintroducing Killer Frost in a big way. She's going to be joining the Justice League and things like that, which is strange because she was a longtime Firestorm villain, actually.
Although she will be played by different actors in Justice League.
What about the comics?
Oh,
Like,
you
they're
mean
having her
comics.
just...
They're reforming her?
I don't know, they're doing like Killer
She's a
Frost
villain.
one
So
shot. Well,
you don't call
Captain-
good guys killer something.
Well, no. And she was a Firestorm. That was kind of part of the joke when they introduced her in the TV show, was because she was probably Firestorm's arch nemesis. There was a whole thing with them in Crisis where like a guy called Psycho Pirate who can control emotions made her fall in love with Firestorm. It was a whole thing. So they were
He did that to me once. I like Firestorm, but
I really love what they've done with them in the show. They've made them indispensable. I mean, it's hard to picture the show without those two being in it.
they are, I think, some of the best written stuff in terms of supporting cast is the lab scenes are usually tons of fun. And Cisco's naming of although he gets Trump this week, I see the preview.
They're really
He
good.
doesn't get to name the Mirror Master. It's in the commercial, so I'm not spoiling it. He goes, we'll call him, and then Will says, Mirror Master. Boom. And he goes, "Ugh." So he got trumped. I'll act out other scenes for you later if you'd like.
As for Wells, I think he's an original creation, more or less.
The name is taken from somewhere, a DC character, but he was a DC scientist in something from like the 80s or 90s. But not a major, and certainly not the character he is.
Right. And the other character, like Joe, who's a big, again, Iris obviously has a dad. Actually,
We've met his dad.
Iris's
Her
dad in the comic, not her future dad. The dad who adopted her was a wacky mad scientist
named
type.
Ira.
Yep. And they used
Keep in
him.
mind they were white people.
Yeah. They used him a bunch of times during the Silver Age Flash, I think, to get Barry into wacky hijinks, basically. But
He was, absent-minded and silly and looked a little like Einstein.
I remember they actually did a thing where that he forgot she was from the future. That was their explanation for why Iris didn't know. He forgot to tell her that she was from the future.
Oh wait, I have a note right here. I was supposed to tell you back when you were 9. That's weird. I don't even remember that. You read too many comics, or remember too many comics. Why I've forgotten more than you remember, or I think I do. I've forgotten. Anybody else have commentary?
Do we know exactly how, on average at least, Barry runs now? Because I know he's faster, but we don't really have like.
I don't know that they quantified it yet on the TV show.
If they're smart, they won't. You don't want to set hard limits because then you can't break them later when the plot needs you to.
We set it in the comics so that we could track his improvement. So during the pre-Wade time frame, they had slowed him down. They made it difficult for him to run like the speed of sound, for instance, which I'm not sure what it is, but it's not really fast because cars can do it. And I think we gradually accelerated, literally, his ability to the point where when he was fully in charge of himself and the Speed Force, he was moving at the speed of light, which is a lot more than the speed of sound, as I recall. But it's science, and like time travel just makes my head hurt. No, I don't remember the numbers, but we had him moving because he needed to move that fast, because we were doing all the cosmic interactions with this. But clearly, Barry on TV doesn't move that fast. But he moves very fast, and he is progressing. They're mentioning that he's moving faster. They're just not quantifying it. And as Sean said, it's probably best they don't. That way they can pull a big one out of the hat if they need him to suddenly have a spurt forward. Spurt is really a bad word.
I don't know if they've done the bit yet, which you guys introduced, was the hard limit, where if you go too fast, you become one with the Speed Force, and you basically disappear.
And you die.
Yeah, well, you go to speed heaven, basically, is what I.
No, your energy is just sucked into this. You become part of the battery.
And
Kind of like Jedi, I think.
And it's like the ultimate fate for all super speedsters. They'll eventually join the Speed Force. And I don't know if they've touched on that in the show. I think they hinted at it, but they haven't really.
Well, in the season ender, there was that sense that you can go into the Force, which looks like Barry's living room, as I remember. No, they did light effects and stuff when he was traveling. Yeah, you can go too far, you can go too fast. They haven't done that because they're trying very hard, and rightfully so, not to quantify that either.
Yeah.
They're not. I mean, the Speed Force can be any number of things, and so far, but we've now learned there's an intelligence behind the Speed Force. Something was talking to him, or some things, or entities. I'm not sure. The one thing that I like is that Barry in the original comics could vibrate seamlessly through things. When we wrote Wally, we wanted to give him different aspects of the same powers without changing much. He never was able to vibrate easily through things. Maybe because he was channeling so much of the Speed Force. When he would vibrate through a wall, say for instance, he would leave so much residual energy that the wall would just explode behind him, which kind of, I don't know, seriously mitigated the need to vibrate, but I mean, people could follow him. Somewhere in, I think, the first season, Barry runs so fast he loses control of himself, and he's running right at a dumpster, a big giant, like a construction dumpster, and he's doing this for a little bit. Like I said, I'd act out other scenes. And he winds up vibrating unintentionally into the dumpster, and then comes out the other side, and the dumpster explodes. That was our bit. And my phone rang immediately. And somebody was breathing very heavily on the other side, which doesn't happen as often as it used to. And then Mark Waid said, "That was ours." And I went, "Yeah, pretty cool, right?" So Mark Waid, superstar, is a huge fan of the show as well. There's a young man with red gloves. I think you had your hand raised.
No, sir.
You were just stretching.
You're taking his mask off.
Oh, I don't. Look who he is. That always killed me, by the way, in comics when somebody would pull their. If you're Clark Kent, which he, or Bruce Wayne, but if you're Barry Allen and your mask got pulled off, who wouldn't know who you were? If you're Spider-Man and your mask got pulled off, who wouldn't recognize Peter Parker? Not a public figure, exactly. I mean, some people would. He got his mask pulled off in the middle of the city room at the Daily Bugle, maybe. But if he was on Fifth Avenue and his mask was pulled off, more than likely. Who's that semi-pleasant looking young man with the mussed up brown hair? We don't know who that is. But it's one of the conceits, just like putting glasses on makes you look different. Any other questions or commentary? All the way in the back, the fellow in the green, you don't have to be snarky today. You can, do you like The Flash?
I do.
Remind me of your first name.
Adam.
Adam? How long have you been a fan of The Flash? TV or comics or both?
I probably started getting into the superhero stuff when they brought out the Justice League animated series
Ah.
in the early 2000s.
Oh, that is a big entree. Flash has been very well handled in the animated, the Justice League animated, yes? But all of the versions, I've been watching through the Justice League Unlimited and enjoying it quite a lot. We are at 11:30. We don't have to stop because the room isn't booked until noon. So if anybody else has questions or comments, please feel free. Otherwise, I release you to the wild. Thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed it.